So this is a very simple, basic solar plexus Manipura chakra asana flow. So you can leave out what feels like you want to leave out, or try and make calibrations if there's something that you want a sort of slight adjustment with. So let's just begin with the subtler form of yoga. So coming into the mudra, the simplest mudra for the solar plexus is simply coming to bring your hands, the 5 fingers, the 5 senses, it's just still in here at the solar plexus. The solar plexus actually, in the Eastern understanding, is in the center of the body, right behind the navel. It's the power center. And in its sort of full effulgence, it should be like a little mini sun, where we know the sense of the solar light, the source power. And we're motivated from that divine will rather than our personal egoic drive. So the mudra, fingers together, the 5 fingers, and just apart at the heel of the hand, and the thumbs pointing towards the solar plexus. So my navel is just here. And you can just comfortably rest it in your lap and just relax the shoulders and begin to breathe so that you're able to really open through the diaphragm. One of the places that the solar plexus rules over is the diaphragm. So slowly allowing breath to deepen. The mantra that we're going to use, because this is the deity that rules over the solar plexus, is Shiva. Shiva is the deity of yoga, and Shiva helps us to remove attachments, helps us to move forward and to let go of what no longer serves us. The other thing also is that it's an empowering one, an empowerment meaning not to empower the ego sense, but to empower yourself as the self, to realize the self. And essentially this is the path of yoga, is self-realization. So we're coming out of our personal egoic drives into this pure source motivation, divine alignment. So Om Namah Shivaya is also a very powerful way of sort of cutting off the ego thread, if you like, or motivation. So Amma always teaches this, you know, when you're in residence in her ashram. This is a really powerful one to use at the end of every sentence, just to clear any egoic agenda in the sentence. So Shiva also represents the absolute, that ever-presence, that witnessing ability in us to not be identified to life, driving it as the sense of the doer, but to rest as this pure awareness. So coming back to that recognition before we move into asanas, this sense of really yoga is any action done in full awareness. So that really sets us up for the focus to be Manipura as we move through all the chakras. That actually, as you really rest here behind the navel, you will empower that center and the nadi flows, the nadi system, to empower that center. These are the subtle pathways, subtler than the actual nervous system. So as we're working through the asanas, I'll try and guide you a bit into the benefit for each of those organs relating to it. And essentially, you can just really focus on, rather than the outer kind of form of yoga, focus more on the inner unraveling, how to ignite the fire, the passion. Because essentially that the fire, this agni center, is the element that rules over this solar plexus. And when it's in its optimal, we're able to really burn everything that's impure and that we no longer need without burning out. That would be another symptom of a depleted solar plexus, where we're burnt out, we're exhausted, we have no sense of direction or motivation or confidence, or a sense of sort of self-empowerment in the world, the ability to actualize our dharma, our path of purpose in alignment to divine will. So before I go into too much of what the solar plexus is when it's depleted, more let's just focus on, to begin with here in the purpose of our asana practice, of what it can be, what its potential is, and how that would look and feel. So we start with the physical as a gateway into the subtler dimensions of where the yoga takes us, bringing us into that divine union. So with this mudra here, as you rest here, you could do this for a good 5 minutes or so, just sort of resting it within your lap with slow, deep breath. Just inhaling, filling up that center, and exhaling. And then bringing the meditation into focus is to visualize this golden orb of light, much like the sun, growing really strong within us in the solar plexus mudra. So it might feel a bit vague at first and a bit hard to sense, so you just stay with the mudra and breathe and see if you can feel the sense of that light growing. It might feel more familiar for you to feel more so a sense of like a spark that's turning into a fire, and allow that golden radiance that is usually associated with the chakra to start to pour throughout every cell, switching on your life force, your vitality, your optimum health, your energy for life, because that's what this center rules over. So you can sense that it also has this ability to clear the tamas element. And when it's in balance, it can be very rajas, it can be very fire and overdoing, overstriving, overcompensating. But essentially bringing it into balance, it would just feel this sort of resting the self, originating in that source power, where anything feels possible, where you can reach your fullest potential. And that sense of self-confidence comes from the self, this pure awareness, rather than the egoic agenda of a personal sense of separate identity. So sitting in the center, deepening into this, allow that sense of the glow. It might be a dim light at first, allow it to start to grow and become like an orb of light, like a sun, self-effulgent. And even if it doesn't to begin with, just stay there, just compassionate, just in awareness. And we'll start with the Om Namah Shivaya mantra, and then we'll go into a subtler mantra, which I'll bring you into in a few moments. So just beginning, take a deep breath in, directly into the solar plexus area. And like the breath, the pranayama is oxygenating, fanning the fire, building the digestive power, the assimilative process. Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So you can continue with the mantra in any tone, in any rhythm that you choose. Just repeating that mantra, and we'll send you one also on your audio file so you can have some to listen to empower that center. When you've done this a good 5 to 10 minutes, we'll move into the asana practice. So the asana practice I will show you will be demonstrated very quickly, but I would encourage you to really take your time, a good sort of 4 to 5 minutes in each pose, undulating. So visiting the pose, breathing, surrendering, backing off, and then re-inviting that opening through the posture. So they'll be demonstrated quickly, but please kind of come in and out and pause and allow this sort of unraveling in each posture so you can really flow with it. The solar plexus, it moves like a fire, so it's fluid, it's creative, it's very joyful in its essence. So taking on that quality as you move, the sense of playfulness, of exploration, rather than trying to hold something rigid. All these postures I'm going to be offering are yang postures. They are the solar light empowering, the divine masculine principle. So we begin with the sun salutation, which is a really good place to begin in the mornings because it fires up the cylinders, so to speak. It gets everything detoxing and enlivened. So it's very sort of empowering in its sense because it's activating a lot of the key muscle groups. but it's also building heat in the body, which we want to in order to create fluidities for our back bends, forward bends, and be able to warm up the hamstrings, the calves, and so forth. So if you want to follow this, take your time with it, and I'll show you fairly swiftly, making it more like a sort of dance, of a playful dance. So just beginning. If you would like to just come to standing at the top of your mat. And bringing the hands into that solar plexus mudra we just did when we were sitting, just behind the navel. Taking a deep breath in there, and then rising the hands through the body, rising up, making a full temple with that sense of calling in the divine, empowering the posture as we move through our prayers and action. Take an inhale. If you'd like to use Ujjayi breath, use that. That's a very powerful solar plexus pranayama to charge up, to optimally oxygenate the body and to filter the breath so you're able to take deeper breaths and also cool the parasympathetic nervous system. Take an inhale. Press the hips forward, engage the inner glutes, lift the pubic bone up to the navel and lift the navel up to the heart as we start to move into a little backward arch. So from the side position, coming in, inhale again, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, rise up, and then we can open through the side body, grounding down through the feet, lifting the inner arches of the feet, spreading the toes, so we're equally distributing weight between the balls of the feet, the blade edge, and the heel. Take an inhale, and extend to the far left as you release the right side of the pelvis, arms straight, stretching out, and back to center. Inhale, rise up, exhale. If you want to, keep it in the mudra of the solar plexus. Kind of think of it like a sun at this point. You can either have the fingers together or you can have them apart. So rays of the sun shooting out from within you. Inhale. So we'll just go sort of side to side in your own, but really emptying the breath as you stretch out. And then we start to make some circles, still keeping that temple of the hands up above you, circulating the pelvis and winding out the waist both ways. Then drawing the hands through to the midline, I'm going to just place the hands on the top of the kidney area, warming the lower back. Take an inhale again, feeling the rising up from the pubic bone up to the navel. And then bring the drishti focus into the solar plexus. It's like we're actually just collecting the sun here now, drawing the light into our being. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And release the hands. Coming into this sort of Vesuvius man, so we become like the sun itself, to feel that sense of self-effulgence radiating from within you, especially if you're in England and the sun isn't happening much outside. Feel the sense of the light from inside, waking up, shining, radiating out through your fingertips, out through your feet, out through your heart. Every cell awake with this golden light, stretching out in all directions simultaneously, still rising up and grounding down. So you spread into the sense of this full rays of sun. Take an inhale, open the hands wide. Empty the breath. Inhale again. And exhale, draw the palms together. Inhale, send your heart this time up to the sky. Exhale, empty the breath. Palms meet again. Inhale, opening up, stretching out this full yang solar pose. It counteracts all the tamas of winter that wants to curl in and retreat and withdraw. It goes into this sense of like full embrace. Awakening the inner fire. Come back to that mudra, grounding here for a moment. Come into the stillness. And we'll move into our sun salutations. Spreading the toes, grounding down first of all. Feel the sense of lifting through the midline of the body and relaxing the outer extraneous places. The shoulders relax down. It's like the hips drop down. Take an inhale. Gather the sun all the way down, collecting it through this open lotus mudra, collecting it into the solar plexus. We do that again. And collecting. Open the heart. And then this time we swan dive, letting the solar plexus lead. So really allowing this golden light to lead the movement as you swan dive, taking the hands back, drawing the weights of the pelvis over the ankles and draw down. And we wave the spine here on your fingertips high. Ripple out the spine, releasing the lumbar, releasing the tension of the hamstrings by rolling the pelvis, engaging the quads, sealing the bandhas of the knees, so you feel the front of the legs drawing out the back and legs gliding down. Release the head, and then one more time looking up, flatten out the back, open the chest. Inhale the drishtis, the solar plexus, plant the hands, bending the knees. We're going to step back into our plank. Draw the navel in towards the spine. So it's a sense of zipping the pubic bone towards the navel. Lift up the back of the heart, lengthen the neck, press back into the heels through this empowering plank. If it's too much, take the knees down, feet up, so you can do more like a baby chaturanga. And drawing down, elbows in, looking forward, either hovercrafting, which might be too intense, or coming down. And rising up, keep the thighs resting on the ground, elbows bent, open the chest, and then allow, if possible, if your neck's not tender, draw up from the heart, open the throat. Keep the knuckles grounded, hug the elbows in. Empower the center of the solar plexus, breathing behind the navel into that center. Full inhale here. Exhale, empty the breath, lift up the wrists, sliding back. Bow the head, toes are curled under. Inhale. Come back to your tabletop. Exhale. Inhale. Looking up, opening the chest, let the eyes of the elbows roll forward. Exhale, rounding. And because of pregnancy, I'm not going to demonstrate some of the engagements or the full twists in Uddiyana Bandha, so you can be talked through them without me having to physically demonstrate. But here, when we come into that hollow body, we really draw the navel in towards sealing towards the spine. This is going to help our digestive system and eliminate digestive waste, which is what the solar plexus rules over, is the digestive system. So emptying out the breath, hollow body, draw your navel all the way in, although I won't be doing that. Lift up at the back of the heart. Inhale, open the chest. And we go through these waves really fluidly at your own pace. And then from here, before we move into the rest of the sun salutation variation, we take the left leg all the way up. You can release the back foot down, pointing the toe high. Again, focus the drishti, Manipura chakra. Inhale.
Exhale, curl the knee to the nose.
And then this time, we're going to have just 2 points of contact. Stretch out a full directional purpose of pure intention. Really focus on what you're intending, what your deepest value is. Direct that aim through Jnana Mudra into your fingertips and out, releasing the path through your tips of your toes. Without collapsing or arching, take an inhale. Stretch out further, full yang extension. Inhale, and then you're exhaling, empty the breath, hug in, and you're going to make a fist, sealing that intention. Hollow body, nose to the knee. And inhale. Stretch out, Jnana Mudra maybe if you want, or just release the fingers. And you can do this really slow. And place down. By now you should start to feel the heat in the body, which is good. You want to be allowed to build sweat, which is purifying as well, eliminating the toxins which we need for the solar plexus to fully shine. Inhale. Stretch out. Exhale. So you can go really slow here, but this way, direct your intention, hold your focus, what you're really intending and aiming for. But for that to happen, you have to let go. You have to stretch back, two-way force, release all the past out through the tips of your toes. Inhale, draw the back more into a hollow body, so we're not collapsing in the lumbar. Exhale, empty. Making a fist as you draw in. That fist is sealing the intention, hugging, drawing back to the power center, drawing back to the center. This can be done 5 times on each side, really slow, and you should start to feel a heat forming, which is what we're looking for. So from here, then we return to the rest of the solar flow. Curl your toes under. Coming up into downward dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Making a triangle, drawing back to take the plunge out the shoulders. You can keep the heels lifted if you wish. And the sense of external rotation of the top arms, the fan open the back of the heart. We'll walk the feet just to warm up the hamstrings and the calves, sending the tailbone up to the sky. Take an inhale, stretch out that left leg really high, pointing the toe for pointing the direction of your purpose, the full actualization of your intention. Like an arrow, clear and focused. That's what we want for the solar plexus. Intention, breathe in. Exhale, bend the leg, take it back. With a deep, long stretch for the psoas, opening the diaphragm. Breathe intentionally into the solar plexus as you ground the left shoulder down. Roll out that left ankle. Take a very slow, deep breath here and allow yourself, this is an option, you can leave this out if you wish, to glide the foot to the ground, to turn over and to open into your first back arch, releasing the diaphragm, empowering the solar plexus as you lift the navel up towards the sky and reach over. The left leg is bent, right leg straight, grounding the foot as you draw the right shoulder over the wrist. Deep breath in here, so not on your side. Try to roll round and get your hips up to the sky. Engage the glutes, inhale.
Exhale. If you want to go a little bit more yang or more challenge, because often that's a good thing to create transmutation, you can take hold of the foot to come into a side plank. So making like a star, a side star. Inhale, if you're ready, you can just draw right into a lunge. So in a lunge, you want to allow the ankle and the knee to be in alignment. So we can focus on essentially getting foundational support through this right angle, but then allowing a fluid movement here in the lunge. So with the lunge, you're going to get the right leg draw all the way back to begin with. And you can really direct with that with your hand. Then coming to square out the hips, level out the pelvis, sink into the lunge where you feel the two-way extension force. That extension is the yang, the solar empowered energy. It reaches out. Take an inhale. Rise up. This warrior calling for grace. You can come again to the solar plexus mudra, 5 fingers stretched up together. Inhale. Reaching back into your back bend. Empowering the Manipura chakra. Breathe into that center as you press the left foot down. As you stretch the right leg back. At the same time, without hyperextending, you're hugging both femur into the hip socket. And we're coming into a back bend, which is flushing the kidneys, which is empowering the digestive system. Inhale, take a full roll, circles, all the way back, with the drishti focus still at the solar plexus, and then place the hands down. From here, we come up into a high lunge. So the back foot now, instead of being on the knee, comes in to the foot. Find the alignment, if possible, of the right back heel to the front heel. If that's too much, take it out if you feel more stable. We're looking for stability. The solar plexus is all about finding the sense of balance of energy, balance of that giving and receiving. So there's this all-sustaining vital energy, not burning out, depletion. So from here, we're in a high lunge. Hold of your hips and square them out forward, rooting down through the blade edge of the back foot. Lift up your toes to lift up, activate the arches of your feet, which will then activate the core to move from the core power. So the core is the solar plexus, is the sacral chakra, is the root. It's this whole center. So feeling that empowerment in the movement, that is the energy of the warrior, which we need, that sense of ability to overcome our obstacles. Staying present and centered in the moment, in flexibility to adjust as is needed for the highest good. So from here, you're taking the same warrior stance, reaching up as that call for grace, to become a temple for this wisdom. Sinking low, and then rising again without collapsing the lumbar, coming into a little arch, whatever feels good there. Very strong in your intention, straight arms, straight angles. That is the solar plexus energy. Nothing goes too floppy, it's not water element, it's this clear direction. Full intention. Exhale. Open the hands out, stretching again in the solar light, moving in all directions. So you still feel that drawing forward, and you still feel the drawing back. Creates this space in the body, and all that space opens up, and you're able to optimally breathe again, where perhaps you were clavicularly breathing in your chest, and you weren't able to really fire up the cylinders of the digestive power, and to really let the pranayama move deeper here through the diaphragm. So you can inhale here, and we'll use a flow. And stretch forward, making one long line from the foot all the way up to the fingertips coming to Jnana Mudra, index finger and thumb engage. Stretch out in that full line direction. Inhale, open up, flowing round to release from the chest, open the diaphragm, and if you feel to take a bind, catch the top thigh. Otherwise, just let the hand come round, whatever feels comfortable there. Opening the front body. Keep hugging that left hip in. Take an inhale. Then from here, we're able to lunge back a little bit and interlace our fingers. Still lift the navel up, lift the pubic bone to the navel, navel up to the heart, empowering into the center behind the navel. And if you can't quite feel the drishti into the center of the body, just focus at the navel area. So from here, let's open up, interlace the fingers. If that's too much, you can hold on to the elbows. Or you might like to take a belt to hold on, to draw back, take a roll through the shoulders. Inhale, and we're coming into hero, a humble warrior pose. As you bow your head, holding onto your belt, or interlacing the fingers, or holding onto the elbows as you choose. Hug that left hip in without swinging your hips out, and release the head down. Engaging Uddiyana Bandha here, where your navel seals towards your spine, even though I won't demonstrate that. Inhale, drawing up. And then from here, take another exhale, empty out. Rise up, sliding the right hand down the back leg, arching over. Sink low again. Squeezing out the waist, try to roll round so your heart's facing the sky. Extend through the fingertips. Drishti at Manipura chakra. Without collapsing into the back heel, keep the grounding blade edge. Inhale, and we just sort of windmill the hands round to find the ground again. Take a little bow if you wish. You could, if it feels good, take a step in. So a little bit closer with the back foot and square out the hips again, lengthen through the spine looking up. Again, we could hold on to our elbows or bring our hands into prayer position. Inhale, lengthen and take a bow. Take another intentional inhale. And we'll come into some little gentle twists, starting with Pavarita Trikonasana. So we're coming from triangle to begin with. If you'd like to line up on your mat, so you feel this alignment. Again, if you're feeling too wobbly like this, step out a little bit. Hands on your hips if you wish to begin with. Try to keep the length, the left side of the waist. So as we move, rather than thinking about coming down, just think about extension. The energy of the rays of golden light spreading, spreading, spreading. Extending and then allowing the palm to come knee inside the knee, or it might for some of us come into the inner ankle as we raise the right hand up. Don't try to hold on to the ankle here because we tend to dump our weight and come into collapse. We're going to keep everything alive, awake, supported, empowered. Take an inhale. Stretch out in all directions, feeling the power, the centering of the triangle shape. Engage both quads. Try to lengthen out the inner waist here. Inhale, coming up, we're going to literally, like a helicopter, spin round. Coming into the twisted triangle. So all the twists are very powerful for the digestive system. Very good for building the digestive fire, optimizing the metabolism, optimizing your hormonal health, because our hormonal health is generated in our guts, the serotonin, the happy hormone here. So we need the fire of purification to be able to assimilate everything optimally, so that everything's able to process through the burners, the internal burners. So once you come into that twisted triangle, remember you could stay in there for a while, you could back off and revisit. So always remember the repetition is very powerful to go through that. The other option here is taking an inhale. And we bring our hands together in that solar plexus mudra. Bending at the elbows now. we're going to take the right elbow over to the outside edge of the left knee without collapsing into our back leg. Full extension in all directions. Don't forget about the back leg as we spin around. Inhale and take that right elbow over, which I won't fully demonstrate, but you can feel the engagement of Uddiyana Bandha spinning round. Lengthening the spine as we move through the twists. So deep, slow breaths there. Coming round. Grounding here for a moment. We could come back into the solar plexus mudra. Centering here at the navel before we close this side of the sun salutation. Planting the hands down, coming through your plank, or with Chaturanga Dhanasana, you could bring your feet up, lowering yourself down, two-way force, extending through the crown, extending through the heels. This time raising the right leg up, release the ankle and bending the knee, rolling out the ankle. Take the leg back a little bit more so you feel the stretch all the way up to the diaphragm. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, flip the body if you choose to come into the wild thing, reaching over, grounding through the feet, arching like a rainbow. Follow your intention, look to the fingertips of the right hand. Jnana Mudra, the symbolic gesture of wisdom. Directional intention through your prayer and action. Really embodying your intention here. Lift your hips higher. Feel the heat in the body, the little shakes, the tremors. Welcome them. Inhale. Exhale. We'll come through the side star. Stretching out if you choose, otherwise just go straight into your lunge, extending in all ways. The other option you might like in side plank is just holding. The other option is to take the left knee down so that we can just extend through here, keeping our hips high without collapsing at the hips. So from here or here, we're going to move into our lunge. And in your lunge, you can warm up slowly, lubricating the knee joint in soft little lunging movements. But we're going to feel this two-way force again. Feel the extension at the rays of the sun going in all directions. That front knee is over the ankle. The back leg is stretching back. You're on your back knee. If you need a pad, use a pillow or blanket rolled up under your knee. Take an inhale, rise up. Full inhale, wherever you felt inhibited, blocked, disempowered, wherever you felt subservient, hopeless, helpless, in despair, or the sense of pointlessness. That's all the depletion of the solar plexus. So we're calling that sense of full empowerment, self-confidence, Dharma direction, divine will empowered through this form, through our human expression, uninhibited. Inhale, rise up. Exhale. Stretch your arms out, all the places that go floppy. Empower them, engage them. Consciousness fully engaged through the form in all aspects. Now you could be in this solar plexus mudra as you reach back through that back bend. Full inhale here. Exhale. We'll go through some lunging movements, making circles. With the breath, Ujjayi breath or deep, slow breathing as you feel. Either way, good to hear your own breath. That life force pumping through every cell. Take a little bow. Stretch out that leg. Curl the back toes under. We'll come up through into a high lunge to begin with. Take an inhale, rise up, same solar plexus mudra. Take an inhale again, exhale, rise up, arching back, sinking low, two-way force, without collapsing the back heel. Feel the lift of both arches of feet. If you don't feel that, lift up your toes. Inhale. Virabhadasana 1. We can flow in this as well. We can spiral out the arms, open up the heart, relinquishing the past, welcoming the present. Open, receptive, yet letting go. Open front door, open back door. Take an inhale here. You can do this in a different order this time. You could just try coming to the back bend first, just spreading hands down the back thigh, reaching up and over. Sinking low into your lunge. Look to the fingertips. Feel the power in the center growing in Manipura. Inhale, stretching out. And then from here, we can rest our forearm onto the bent leg and make one long stretching line all the way up, hugging that right hip in. As if we've got a wall behind us, so we want to keep that alignment empowered in the movement. That yang principle alive. Inhale. Exhale, take the wide open arm back, and you can just rest it here or wrap around and catch the top of the thigh to make a bind, rolling to open the heart, rolling out the left shoulder. Palm just receptive, gathering, facing up. Look up to the sky. Come back to the drishti, the solar plexus. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. From here we're going to come into humble warrior, which you might remember. So we might want to hold onto our fingertips, interlace the fingers, or hold onto the elbows, or take a belt and catch between. Rotate round, square out the hips facing forward. Step in a little bit more and spiral that back leg, the back thigh in. So you feel the quads active, supporting the knee joints, stabilizing the knee joints, which are facing directly over the front bent toes. So work out what feels good distance for you here without collapsing the inner arches. Take an inhale, holding on, opening the chest, or holding to the elbows, either way. Empty the breath. Humble warrior offers its head surrender, releases. And that's what the solar plexus is in its true power, is a humble warrior. Is not an ego-driven, aggressive leader, which is what happens in one of its ways of being unbalanced, but is this sense of humility to realize he is not the doer, but this divine force is living these lives. And the physical forms now are making mudras to come into alignment, to not function from egoic drive, but to be moved from present awareness. Let the hands draw over the head, release the head down. Belly engages in Uddiyana Bandha, sealing the power all the way in towards the solar plexus. Inhale, drawing up, keeping the length through the spine without rounding the shoulders. And here you might want to transition again through just playing with warrior flow. And then coming into our triangle the other way. So you find that alignment of the front heel to the back heel. But if that's too unstable for you, step out a little bit. So we're just side facing this time. And we want to create the sense of stretching out rather than thinking about coming down and rotating. Just keep that horizontal plane with the hands for a while, lengthening through the waist here. Take an inhale here and just see if you can just release that left hip to open a little bit more, releasing the tension in the psoas there that opens the diaphragm. Take a deep breath. into the diaphragm, extend. Then the hand can come down, drawing the left hand all the way up, extend in all way directions. And you feel this beautiful release through the left side of the waist. If the neck is too tender, you can look down here. You're not resting and dumping weight into the shin, you're just gliding the hand where it naturally wants to go. Opening up the sides. Feel the power of the sacred geometry of the triangle. Inhale. Come up to neutral. Exhale. Inhale, spinning like a helicopter all the way around. Exhale, twisting round to place your hands. Some of you might come onto the ground, or you can just have the flat of the palm facing out as you spin round. Navel engages in towards the spine as you reach up that hand. Find the alignment of both arms. Hug that right hip in. Inhale, coming out. When you're in this pose, you're feeling a wringing out of the digestive system. You're feeling that twist is emptying out the old and creating space to fully allow that pranic flow through the digestion assimilation area of the solar plexus. So from the twisted triangle, you might come out, you might go in again, you try a few times. We come out from here and coming round, extending that front leg again, powering up the quadricep and bringing the hips round so the iliac crest are facing forward, just squaring out the hips as it were, open the chest, like a bit of a king pigeon. So from the solar plexus again, let that sun just radiate as you press it forward, as you keep the length rising up and over. We might be able to take our hands in prayer. If not, we could hold the elbows, or again, we could just interlace here. Taking an inhale, both legs remain straight here. Puff out the chest. Exhale, take a bow. Growing long through the spine. Sighing out anything that's ready to relieve itself. It's like you open the trapdoor of your brain and you just let all that mental waste just pour out. As you inhale, drawing length all the way up. And then we come into our little twists. So from here, as we come back through, transitioning through the warrior, we can bring our hands into the solar plexus mudra again, at the solar plexus. Then rise up to the heart, pressing the elbows in to fire up the armpit muscles, elbows in same height as the shoulders. Inhale, spinning round, twisting from the root of the spine, drawing back. Then we can come into the full twist, which I won't demonstrate, but the left elbow comes over to the outside of that right knee. In there, you take your time, you come out, you go back in, breathing through that twist as you really empower the solar plexus. So with that, you can really use Uddiyana Bandha. When you use Uddiyana Bandha and twist, you're creating an extra internal massage for the digestive system to help eliminate waste, whatever's sort of stuck emotionally, physically there. So from that twist, you'll find a little bit of heat's built up. You've done a flush for the central nervous system, and slowly coming out. We'll come through, and we're going to just transition through a flowing Uttanasana as chair pose, empowering the center here through the navel, rising up and spreading down, lengthening the tailbone away from the crown. Try to bring the feet hip width apart, blade edge mirroring the outer edge of the mat, sinking low. Feel the firing up of the quads. You want that yang energy, the fire, the element of activation through the yang muscles like the quads. Inhale, rise up, exhale, inhale, come back into your back bend, squeeze the glutes, press the hips forward, and then open like the sun again. Take a bow. It's time bending the knees. Coming on to all fours. Taking another full inhalation here. Sinking down, coming through the full deep concave and a full rising up arch. Keeping the fluidity in the spine. And then sliding the knees forward. From here we can come into another solar plexus, which is also a second chakra and a solar plexus asana. But if you ground your shins down and really stabilize through the parallel alignment of the ankles in alignment to the knees. Start to just create a little massage movement to press the hips forward as you engage the inner glutes. So we just use these pulsing movements here. And empowering the center, feeling into the center. And coming into the solar plexus mudra. So you get the fingers engaged, the heels are apart. Like this, over the navel. Inhale, release the head. Arching back by pressing the hips forward and grounding the shins down, engaging the inner thighs, the inner adductors, to activate the movement from the core to rise up, not just collapsing back into the lumbar, sense of rising like a fountain and drawing over, open the chest. And you'll do this a good few moments, coming in and out. And if you feel to and you want to come all the way to make that full connection all the way around, so the palms come to the soles of the feet, you could breathe here, deepen into this for a good few moments. Powering the breath and the focus here into the navel center. So you can hear your own breath. Take an inhale, draw the chin to the chest first, then support your lower back to come back. Hinging at the hips will come through Vajrasana, the lightning bolt. In a way, the solar plexus and its optimal energy is able to function really efficiently like a lightning bolt. It just creates this pure direction of light. So if you can find that sense of empowerment that comes in when you actually sit up straight, because you're no longer compressing each vertebra, which is impeding the blood flow through the nervous system into the major organs and systems. So you actually feel quite a rush of energy, like a sense of like strength. And strength is one of the positive attributes of the solar plexus. This true strength, we're not talking outer muscular strength, but the inner strength to come through. So we need sometimes these really clear definition of staccato in the rhythm of life in order to feel that empowerment. So we're not moved in flexibility in that way, but we're able to move from the strength of flexibility so that we're clear and the decision arises from the infinite rather than our egoic drive. So that sense of clarity comes in with simple adjustments on a somatic level. It reawakens the intelligence of the form and activates our psychosomatic awareness into moving in that way, feeling self-confident, feeling empowered by just simple things like lengthening the spine, this upward upana rising motion. So you can feel as if each vertebra is just floating in space. Start to really breathe in and out. So if you know your Jaya breath, you could start to do that, which is where you're filtering the breath. I like to imagine there's a hole in the throat and I'm sucking breath in through the hole in the throat. It's like a sort of Darth Vader breath, or slightly like snoring, where you're breathing the breath in here and you're closing off the glottal at the back of the throat. So you're filtering the breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose, but it's a slow filtration. If that feels too much, you could just inhale in that way and then open the mouth and let a soft little sigh out. And that sigh releases tension from the system as well. So you could try either one in the breathing. So we'll just go through some movements first of all. Instead of this straight spine of Vajrasana, we're just going to work with awakening the spine through concaving and arching, doing it in your own rhythm and flow. Inhaling, exhaling until you build heat. So you could go quite fast, but you want to keep the fluidity of awareness throughout the whole spine, not just going off into the head area, which is what we do often in our daily functioning. So you stay with that integrated awareness of moving from total awareness of the whole. Inhale, exhale. And then we're going to make some spirals, really releasing the whole diaphragm area. And we're going to go both ways with the breath leading the movement. When you come back, you would engage Uddiyana Bandha and the navel would seal all the way in. Inhale, exhale. We'll go both ways here. So hopefully by now the back is warmed up a little bit from that Ustrasana, the camel pose. So I'd like to invite you to come down into your bellies and we'll come into a solar plexus building practice with some little back bends. So first of all, locus is a good one to explore, which I'm not going to demonstrate fully, but you're going to come onto your belly, draw your hands back, and you will lift your chest and you'd lift your legs. Both legs would come up. So you're resting on the navel area. So this is quite an engaged core, abdomen toning, strengthening posture. You'd keep lifting your chest, opening the chest, looking up, and lifting both legs, hugging the legs together. And you might like to use a block or a rolled up blanket to engage that principle and lift. So you're making like a dish shape, very much like a dish. And then energy goes into the fingertips. So you lift and you look up. If you look up, your energy will go up. And you'll start to feel heat, maybe a little bit sweating, a little bit of fire, empowering the movement. And you can choose if you want to bring in a little gentle rock, which creates a massage for the digestive system. So that's the first little back bend. The second back bend is we're going to come into Dhanasana, into bow posture, which again, I'm not going to fully demonstrate, but you will catch hold of your ankles. If that's too much, you can catch hold of your toes. We'll come onto our front and we'd lift the thighs up and lift the chest, which is a bit, I'm not demonstrating, but you lift quadriceps, lift the chest, and you're making an arched bow. So most of you will know this one, Dhanasana, and you want to feel the sense of the archer's intention. You're stringing the bow of your intention to come into manifestation. So really like feel into your life, what is it I really need to make happen, or what is it I need to direct my value into? Where do I have my deepest dream and intention, and how can I let that be actualized? Because it has to start here in the sort of microcosm of our lives to be able to manifest intentionally on the metaphysics and all aspects. So empower it with that intention, and once you're in the full bow, just create a little rocking again. It might feel quite strong again, a very powerful massage, digestive cleanser, helps eliminate digestive waste from the colon, helps empower the solar plexus, helps balance blood sugar level in the solar plexus as well. So you can feel that the pancreas and the stomach are actually going through healing in that way as well. It's like we give them massages to those organs. So you're thinking these rocking movements are ways of creating self-massage, if you like. So from here, you will just come out through Bhujangasana, where you're lying on your belly, and then you rise up, ground the naughty knuckles, they call them, because they like to rise up, but ground at the root of the fingertips, draw the elbows down and lift the pubic bone to the navel. Power up that center again with the breath. And you might like to use the simple solar plexus mantra, which is Ram. Ram is the warrior aspect incarnation of Krishna. So Ram, Ram, Ram. Find your own tone, your own rhythm as you use that mantra. Empower the center with the focus there in the meditation in while you're in Bhujangasana, this snake. Chin is parallel to the ground, shoulders are releasing away from the ears. Exhale, drawing out, take a little traction of the spine in Balasana and coming through. And we'll come to some sitting postures. At this point, we're going to come into Kapalabhati so that we can allow the Kriya, the cleansing Kriya aspect. and you'll do it with full power. I'm going to sort of demonstrate the outside of it without doing too much for the abdominal crunches for the baby. So the hands will come down onto your knees in Jnana Mudra. So there's a downward grounding principle here. Sitting in a comfortable, Sukhasana, so you might just have your legs out a little bit. Whatever's actually comfortable for you, so the hip flexors can open, you can drop back into the sit bones. So if you're used to being in a lotus mudra or half lotus, take that position. If you need a little raise, use a raise. We're going to stabilize in the triangle here, which the triangle itself creates this balance. It's like this open channel of light grounding to the earth. That's its sacred geometry shape. So from here we're going to move into Kapalabhati, which is translated as shining skull. So it's just very simply in the focus in Manipura chakra, drawing the navel in towards the spine as you expel the breath. So it's just, and it's quite a strong push out. So have tissue nearby you, because you've got to let the snot come. You just let whatever needs to happen there, because you need to let the detox. That's the Ayurvedic principle. You don't suppress the bodily functions in any way. You allow the purging, you allow the mucus to come out, the tamas element, so you can create space and fire. So essentially you want to fan your fire here with the pranayama. So tongue is gently resting on the mouth, chin is parallel, and you continue this if possible for a good 5 minutes if you feel okay with it, and you'll probably start to feel really blissful and lightheaded afterwards. But that's why we stay in that grounding posture for a bit. If it's too much for you doing it sitting up, you can lie down with your knees bent and your feet on the ground, and you can still manage to do Kapalabhati. So that's one of the really powerful cleansing breaths. The next one is also going to be moving with Simha. So we can do a very simple version of Nauli, which is a digestive cleanse, and usually it rolls from side to side. Again, I can't demonstrate that being pregnant, but you will see if it works for you. And this version that we're going to do here is just essentially breathing all the way out, drawing your navel in, and then creating a bellow-like wave movement while all the breath is expelled. So hopefully that should make sense. So you make a full hollow body, it's breathing in. With the tongue, the Simha breath, lion breath to really pump the glands, stick the tongue all the way out. Breath is emptied, and then wave-like motions as the navel comes in towards the spine and releases out in a wave undulation. So you're massaging the lower digestive tract, eliminating waste. So that's the simple Nauli version rather than side-to-side movement. And so from here, the last part is completely empty breath. Navel is in as far as it possibly can, full engagement there. And then you breathe in, coming up. It's another very powerful digestive fire builder. Really powerful to do that, especially if you feel that you have a sluggish digestive system, or you've had IBS, or you've got any kind of digestive complaint. We need a little bit of this one each day. So I would encourage that. So from your Kapalabhati and then from your Nauli Kriya, just making a little full circle here, but with the focus remaining at the drishti, at the solar plexus. So we go both ways. And we stir the digestion a bit here. Now we can come into a simple twist. So with the first twist, we could just do it in a sitting posture like this, but we could just unwind the waist from the left side first of all, spiraling up all the way to the fingertips. Full inhale, then plugging the right hand down behind you, quite near the spine support. You might have a block raised to create that right height for you. Inhale. Exhale, empty the breath. Navel to the spine, Uddiyana Bandha. Roll out, open the chest. Empty the lower digestive tract by engaging with Uddiyana Bandha all the way in. Breathe here for a few moments, back off a little bit, and then perhaps revisit. Inhale, and we'll go both ways, but first of all, take the right hand all the way up, winding out from the right side of the waist, creating these spiral-like movements to release the fascia, to create length and space. Inhale. Exhale, empty the breath. Place the right hand onto the left knee. Empty. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, roll all the way around. Plug your left hand quite close to the spine and root it into the ground so you're able to really draw upright, to lift up from your crown and root down through your tailbone. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And coming back to center. From that little twist, another little cleansing kriya. Going to draw those fingers in and up through the sternum. Just going to create a little emptying through our digestive tract and emptying the stomach. So it's inhaling. Exhale. Allow the fingers to draw in, taking a bow. It's a sort of massage in to that solar plexus diaphragm area. So you're literally sort of leaning on your fingers that are directing in here and massaging into there. And so it's quite a release of the diaphragm. It can feel a bit like coming out. So use sounds as well. And you might sort of feel afterwards, there's a bit more space. It's released because when the solar plexus is blocked, we have a lot of diaphragm issues. We have difficulty breathing often. And we've got this core tension pattern that tightens everything here and it restricts breath and energy getting down to the lower parts of the body. It keeps it all locked up like a band around here. So it's really important to release the diaphragm through the breath work and simple self-massage techniques like that. And the other one simply you could do is just making circles of the whole digestive system with the right hand, going to the left where the digestive tract empties out through into the colon. So making circles to create the heat in there. It can feel a really nice self-massage. You could even do that with oils lying on your back to create warmth into that area. You could use things like orange oil as well with a base carrier oil. So you're using aromatherapy suited to the solar plexus as well. So there's sort of the yellow flower or the golden flower, really good in essences to using and to self-massage into the digestive system. Things like aniseed are really powerful for that as well, increase the digestive fire. And ginger. So from here, we can release the legs, take a stretch out, roll out the ankles both ways. And then you can bring the legs back and we'll come into another version of a twist because all the twists are very good for the solar plexus. So first, simple version, lining up the foot parallel to the extended left leg where you press through the heel, hugging that right knee in, take your left hand to just hold it there. Inhale, open the chest, open the heart. You can even take hold of it and just stretch out and press back. So a very gentle version of a twist as you roll and look over the right. Then you feel sort of this twist particularly works more with the thoracic spine, which is what we want. A little bit higher twist than what we just did. So all parts of the spine get to release. And then the other option, the other way, drawing this, now you might have the foot in or you might bring it just sort of parallel so the knee is above the ankle. Then with your right hand, just holding, supporting it, stay into the midline, press through the right leg, fire up the quadriceps here so you're active in the bandha of the right knee. Inhale, rising up and then spiraling around. Hug that left knee in. Belly breathing here. Getting the breath down deep into the abdomen. Drishti focus at Manipura chakra and coming out. There's lots of versions of twists. If you'd like to go into a deeper one, you can explore that now and keep going in through deeper variations of twists that might feel good. So from here, we're going to come into another sort of solar plexus opening where we begin on our backs. And I'll show a simple version first of all, and you can choose if you want to calibrate and go deeper. So the first option is just to reach for your heels with your fingertips, engage the inner knees, inner thighs, and start to press the knees away from the crown. So this helps to create this rolling pelvic movement here. Take an inhale as you lift up from the pubic bone up to the sky and let the rest of the spine follow. So we make a little Setu Bandhasana, a little bridge. and then hugging the top arms underneath if possible. Keep pressing the knees away to draw over the ankles and lengthening the neck without crushing the back of the neck down. Keep an arch there in the cervical spine. Take a full inhale here and the hands onto the lower back. So now is a nice massage for our kidneys, if that's possible to get under there. Draw your elbows in alignment to your wrists, your weight of your body's here to help support you as you come into this inversion again with this full intentional direction, pointing the toes to fire up the quads. Lift up and draw down. Inhale, point, exhale. Once you're here, and if you feel confident with that, you could even come into a little circle, cycling in the air. From here, you lightly land, lift up, lengthen the spine, vertebra by vertebra, sealing down. Take your time with each of those postures. If you feel ready for it and you want to come up into a full wheel, the first option is just to come onto the hands. So clear your hair out the way. Get the heels of the hands away from the body. Hug the elbows in without letting them roll out. If you're not familiar with this, use a belt and draw them together. Start to lift up from the pubic bone, again pressing the knees away from the crown. You could first come onto the head, come onto your tiptoes, and then rise up. You can remain with your tiptoes on your tiptoes, or ground the heels down and press the chest open to draw the shoulders over the arms. Taking at least 3 breaths here into the solar plexus. And you can stay longer and go in and out and play around with that. When you come back out, you hinge the hips and seal in this rocking motion here. We'll also seal our practice with a gentle twist, again for the solar plexus and the digestive system, but also for the whole central nervous system. So the first option is just to come through a little swinging hip release as you massage the back of the pelvis with the knees together, just swinging side to side. The second option is to come into crossing the left leg over, right hand catches the top of the left knee, unfurl the left hand, inhale and take the knee just below the hip line so there's no compression in the lumbar, and feel the origin of the movement releasing from L5, L6 region, and spiral out to look into the left hand. Deepen here for a good few moments. Just really enjoy the subtler layers of release as you flush the spine and release the whole lumbar area and cleanse the blockage that may have been in the solar plexus till it's able to sort of really radiate. And then again, the other side. So from the heart, open up, knees below the hip line, look to the upturned palm of the right hand. So you can again come in and out of that and play around with it. When you close your practice, you might close on your right side, which is, where the yang involvement has been. Resting the right so the feminine freely flows. Curling onto your right side. And then just closing in the savasana, where your hips, the feet are a little bit wider than your hips. Hands a little wider than your hips, palms faced up. And maybe you need to sort of lift up a little bit to lengthen the tailbone and replace. And then coming into this solar plexus mudra to seal your practice again. One last time as you draw the scapula together and down the back to open the chest. And then sealing there. And I'm going to show you a mudra that we will do in sitting. So you can take your time in Shavasana, relaxed. When you come to the final closure of your asana flow, we're going to use another mudra. So bringing your hands through into prayer, keeping this ring finger and little finger engaged, slipping these 2 fingers together, wrapping round, and that right thumb comes onto the index finger and the middle finger, and these 2 come round here. So we're making a connection like two circuits. So I'll come closer so you can see this one. And we rest that in our lap for the solar plexus. Closing with the mudra and closing with the mantra for the solar plexus, which is like the sun. Ra.